Hi, I'm Saskia Nugent, and this is Food Pantry Fine Dining, episode 6 of season 2. Wow, we have come so far together as a group. I am so grateful for you guys to hang out with me and see what I want to do here. And those donations to the Open Door Food Pantry in Gloucester are awesome. Those guys are working really hard. They're putting out a lot of really important nutrition to the community. And from what I've heard, they also just are setting up their online services, which you can find at foodpantry.org, where you can actually order online for what you need when you go pick it up. Another thing I found out this past week was that they actually grow some of their own vegetables, which they offer to the people that are getting their food there. And the vegetables are grown in raised garden beds and managed by the Backyard Growers Program. One of the things that I got this week that came from that specifically is this beautiful homegrown spinach, grown by the open door right there, and then offered to us. So one of the things that I always am so grateful for from them is the amount of fresh fruits and vegetables that they offer. We all know how important fresh fruits and vegetables are to get you proper nutrition. And this time of year, as things really heat up, those cold fruits and vegetables are really awesome staples to have around. But we all know that they do start to get a little soft. Maybe you don't want to use them in a salad. And luckily, since we live in New England, we still have plenty of rainy days where you want something warm, something comforting. And what I like to do on those days is soup. So what I'm going to do with you today is we're going to do a summer minestrone soup. Minestrone. Some people have heard of minestrone, some people have not. Minestrone is a soup with veggies that also uses a mixture of beans and sometimes pasta as well, or rice, and sometimes it can have Parmesan cheese in it, sometimes not. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a group of different vegetables, and I'm going to make it with a white cannellini bean, but you can use any bean you want. I used a 29-ounce can, which I rinsed and drained, which I drained and rinsed, and it comes together very quickly on the stovetop. Lots of people, when they hear soup, they think, I don't want to slave over an oven. I don't want to slave over a stove all day. Soup takes forever. I don't want to do this. It really doesn't. Soup comes together really quickly. You're basically moving from sauteing your vegetables to adding a liquid. You simmer, you shut off, you serve. Done. So what I have is, for my ingredients, I have 29-ounce can of cannellini beans, drained and rinsed. I have 1 red onion, normal size, average size, which comes out to about 1.5 cups of onion. I have 2 ripe tomatoes chopped. I have 1 carrot chopped, and I have some of this lovely spinach, which I will end up using about a handful of. I'm not going to measure it out. I'm actually just going to grab a handful. Then I also have 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, some salt to taste, 1 lemon juiced, and a zucchini. I also have a teaspoon of chicken stock. You can use chicken broth, you can use dried bouillon cubes, you can use whatever you'd like. It's up to you to flavor. I'm using a teaspoon of Better Than Bouillon chicken stock. So I'm going to cut up the zucchini, tucking my fingers. We're going to cut them into small, bite-sized chunks, and we're going to set them aside. You want to have all your ingredients ready to go when you start a soup, because it does actually come together pretty quickly. Awesome. Now, I have 3 cloves of garlic that I've diced up that I'm going to use. You don't have to use garlic if you don't like it. And I've also gone ahead and filled up a mason jar of 4 cups of water. You can use a little more water if you'd like. Depends on how soupy you want your soup. I'm using 4 cups of water. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on my pot now. I already have a tablespoon of olive oil in there. I'm going to start heating the pan. To the olive oil that we have in the heating pan, I'm going to start to add our ingredients. First, to the pan, I'm going to add the tomatoes. This ends up being about 2 cups of tomatoes. I have my pan on a medium heat. To the tomatoes, I'm going to add the garlic. And I'm going to let that start to brown, just start. You don't want to let it get too far. Garlic burns fast. So you want to just let it start to brown. To this, I'm going to add a pinch of salt to taste. I'm going to add the lemon juice. And again, I'm going to stir and let it cook for a little while. Once it comes back up to a simmer, which you can hear, not a boil, a simmer, I'm going to add the carrots, the red onion, you can use yellow onion, now, it's important to let the onion cook for a little while before adding any other ingredients. You want it to start to break down just a little bit with the other things you've already added. If you need to turn the heat up just a little bit to do this, go right ahead. Just keep an eye on how fast things are cooking. And you don't want things to stick to the bottom of the pan. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my zucchini. Let it come back to a simmer. You're going to be amazed at how fast this comes together for you. Comes back to a simmer. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add the 4 cups of water. And we're going to go ahead and turn the heat all the way up. You want this to start to come to a low boil. Once it comes to a low boil, we're going to add the Parmesan cheese, we're going to add the chicken stock, the beans, and the spinach. Now that it's come to a boil, we're going to add the beans. We're going to add a nice handful of spinach. We're going to stir in the chicken stock. And we're going to let the whole thing come back up to a boil. This is just such a beautiful summer recipe. It looks nice, it smells great, it's very light. Okay, so now we're just going to wait for that to come back up to a boil. We're going to let it boil for just a moment. Okay, as you can see now, the soup is starting to boil. The spinach is starting to wilt. And at this point, we're going to add the finishing touch, which is the Parmesan cheese. This is going to thicken the soup, and it's going to add this really nice flavor. Stir that right in. I'm going to finish with some ground pepper if you prefer. Give it another stir. Let it come back up to a boil. Once it comes back up to boil, you're actually going to shut it off. And at this point, you're going to serve. Now remember, You're gonna wanna let it cool off just a little bit before you dive in, but look at how beautiful and fresh that looks. My suggestion is gonna be to serve it with just a pinch more of salt and a little more Parmesan sprinkled over the top if you'd like. The word minestrone comes from minestra, which is loosely translated to soup in Italian, or also to serve. This has been a very important time for me to work on this show and work with the Open Door. I am deeply grateful for what they do for the community I live in. They serve us all. Some of us have struggled in our lives. Some of us are struggling right now. And sometimes all it takes to get to the other side of that struggle is just a little bit of help. Someone there to say, what can I do to help you? Food is a really important part of getting through a struggle. Being taken care of, the basics, having your strength, knowing that you're going to be able to put food on the table. I am personally deeply, deeply grateful to the Open Door for everything they do, the hard work they put in, the immaculate, immaculate place that they keep, the incredible volunteers that work hard every day to make this actually happen. And I can't say enough about how much I've loved doing this project and what it means to me. So it's been an honor to serve you. This is Saskia Nugent. This is Food Pantry Fine Dining. I'm crying a little. Love you guys. Take care.